I heard your heart say love, 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 and I am summoned. Today we're diving into cozy games that are all about love. Quirky, heartfelt, and sometimes a little unexpected. We are going to swoon over charming daddies, navigate hilarious relationships, and build everlasting connections. Little warning, some of these games do have a bit of spice added to them, but the most you can see are a few hunky chests and some smooth legs. And with that, let's get started, shall we? First up is Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator. This is an interactive visual novel where you play as a single gay dad who moves to a charming neighborhood with his teenage daughter Amanda. The twist? Your new neighbors are all single gay dads, and you get to navigate relationships with them in a mix of dating, friendship, and wholesome dad moments. The game has you choosing dialogue options, going on dates, and uncovering the personalities and backstories of the dads in the community. What I found interesting is how it combines humor with heartfelt storytelling. The tone is lighthearted and there's no shortage of dad jokes. Seriously, they're endless. But there's also a focus on deeper connections, both romantic and familial. Besides the obvious romance part, you'll also spend time talking to your daughter, supporting her through school challenges, and building that father-daughter bond. The gameplay itself is pretty straightforward, but there are fun little twists along the way. It's primarily a visual novel, but they've thrown in some quirky minigames to keep things engaging. With you running on a treadmill or bragging about your daughter's achievements, these moments add variety and keep you from just clicking through dialogue the whole time. I really enjoyed how light the whole experience feels. There's plenty of witty banter to keep things fun. And while the premise is definitely humorous, a town full of eligible gay dads, it's done in a way that doesn't feel over the top, but at the same time doesn't take itself too seriously in the best way possible. After trying and sometimes failing to charm the perfect dad, I figured it was time to stop looking for love and start orchestrating it instead as a ghostly matchmaker. So let's talk about Love Ghostie. This game had me hooked the moment I realized I wasn't just matchmaking, I was an actual ghost, pulling strings from the afterlife to set up awkward, adorable, and sometimes chaotic dates. It's a simple, easy-to-learn game where you influence conversations, guide emotions, and gently, or not so gently, push people toward love. Think of it as meddling in romance, but in the most wholesome, ghostly way possible. What really made this game special to me was how much I got invested in the characters. They're not just placeholders for a dating sim. They have actual charm and personality. I found myself rooting for certain pairs, sighing in frustration at others, and in one particular case, fully committing to making Ollie and Mina an enemies to lovers success story. And I won't lie, when their relationship finally turned around, I may or may not have clapped along with the little coast crowd watching in the cinema. The humor is another highlight. It's got a great mix of puns, sarcasm, and just enough self-awareness to keep things light and fun. It doesn't overdo it, which I really appreciated. It's playful in a way that feels effortless, not like it's trying too hard to be funny. And while the mechanics are simple, that's what makes it so enjoyable. No complicated systems, no stress. Just a cozy, low-effort game where you can sit back, sip some tea, and enjoy watching love blossom. This has quickly become one of my favorite games to play when I need something uplifting. It's sweet, silly, and surprisingly engaging for something so simple. I highly recommend for anyone who enjoys a bit of lighthearted romance with a supernatural twist. At this point, I had matched up dads, meddled in romance as a ghost, and now I was ready to take on the ultimate challenge, dating in a retirement home. Yes, Later Daters flips that usual dating sim formula on its head by putting you in the shoes of a senior looking for love, or maybe just a bit of fun, in the golden years. The game plays out in episodes, which I actually really liked. It makes it easy to pick up, play a bit, and come back later without feeling overwhelmed. But as with any visual novel, there's a lot of reading involved. No voice acting here, so get ready to soak in all the dialogue. One thing I appreciated is how much control you have over your character's personality. You can be the sweet, charming type, a little grumpy, or let's just say a bit more bold in your approach. The game really lets you lean into different personalities, which makes each playthrough feel unique. The writing is fun, light-hearted, and sometimes unexpectedly deep. Though I have to admit, there was one episode that left me scratching my head a little. I feel like I might have missed the point of it, but it was still enjoyable. It didn't take away from the experience, if anything, it just made me more curious about where the story would go next. And if you ever need a little break from the romance, there's a card game you can play, which was a nice touch and adds a fun little side activity when you want to step away from the storytelling. Overall, Later Daters is a charming and surprisingly refreshing take on the dating sim genre. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it's not just a joke game, it has heart. And it's kind of fun seeing romance from a perspective that most dating sims completely ignore. We've been matchmaking ghosts, charming daddies, and even navigating love in a retirement home. But what if we take things up a notch and build an entire society based on romance? That's where Lakeburg Legacies comes in. This game puts you in charge of an entire medieval town, but instead of focusing on boring city planning, your main job is to play matchmaker. You're pairing up villagers based on their personalities, quirks, and let's be honest, sometimes just because you need more babies to keep the economy running. And while love is the heart of Lakeburg Legacies, it's not all about candlelit dinners and happily ever afters. Your town still needs to function, which means your love-struck villagers also have to work. Their skills and personalities determine what jobs they're best suited for. Some are natural-born blacksmiths, others excel at farming, and some are just bad at everything. Sure, you could match two people based purely on their chemistry, but if their combined skill set leaves your village without a decent carpenter, you might be in trouble. It's a fun mix of matchmaking and strategy, where every new generation keeps the town thriving, or plunges it into complete disaster if you make too many bad pairings. Gameplay-wise, it might seem a little overwhelming at first, with a lot of options and little details to check. But once you start experimenting and you throw yourself in there, it gets quite easy quite fast. And I like that there is a lot of thought behind the buildings and workplace upgrades and villagers' likes and dislikes and so on. And while the romance is a huge part of the game, it's not just about fairy tale endings. Some villagers will fall in love and build strong family legacies, while others will cause nothing but drama. There's a little bit of chaos in every love story, and honestly, that's what keeps this game interesting. Now, fair warning, this is not exactly a wholesome romance game. Affairs, breakups, and some morally questionable choices are all part of the fun. There's even a building called the Rat House, where you send an unfortunate soul to boost the town's happiness. At its heart, Lakeburg Legacies is a fun, light-hearted experiment in romance and society building. It's a little bit messy and a little bit strategic and very entertaining, kind of like real relationships. It might not be a forever game, but it's definitely worth diving into if you love matchmaking with a side of strategy. And that's a wrap on our little love fest. But now I want to hear from you. What are your favorite romance-filled cozy games? Do you like to be the one falling in love? Or do you prefer pulling the strings and managing romances from the sidelines? Let me know in the comments and I will check them out for a future video. And of course, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more cozy game recommendations. I'll see you next time, and remember, love is in the air, or at least in our Steam libraries.